Hi there, and welcome to Red Corner Boxing. You're with Jam and Mr. Neutral, and we've got a very special guest in ring announcer MC, Mr. Christian Schmidt. How are you, Christian?
Thanks for having me on, guys. I love your show, and I love England boxing, and so I've been really looking forward to this. Special thanks to my friend Håkan Johansson for connecting this. He's a great friend of mine out there in Stockholm, Sweden, and let's chat some sweet science.
Thank you so much, matey. Yeah, this is a new show we're doing. It's called the MC Ring Announcer Series. This is episode 1, so we're proud to have you, Christian, as our first MC Ring Announcer. We know you do wrestling, boxing, MMA. What made you fall in love with the combat sports, mate?
Well, I mean, early on is, growing up in the 80s, I loved the Rocky movies, all part of our culture. Everybody loves the Rocky movies. How can you not love the Rocky movies? And then, I watched the big fights in the 90s. And then I used to host a TV show in San Antonio, Texas, where I'm from. And I got to have, Jesse James Lehan, Lou Duva, and different fighters on and get to know the boxing community. So that's how it all started, really. And I just always loved boxing as far as, it's the theater of the unknown, the way that, people come together in an area that watches a sport with a lot of physicality, but it's always done in a humane way, where, you see a lot of physical fighting, but, there's always doctors and people there that, nobody wants to see someone hurt for real or anything like that. I mean, that's like me. I don't like to see that, but it's just so much drama and so much excitement, and there's no other sport like it.
Yeah, so true, mate. So true. Mr. Neutral, have you got your first question ready for Christian?
Yes, I have. And Christian, thank you for coming on to Red Corner Boxing, the UK's newest premier new media company out here. And look, we're going to bring you the best content to all the viewers, and no better a start than Mr. Christian Schmidt himself. Christian, you mentioned your show in San Antonio when you first started. I mean, did you have any kind of interest or background in writing or journalism of any kind to accompany this passion?
Well, what a great question. That has got to be the best opening question I've ever had on a podcast. What happened was I had gotten involved with the community in about summer of 2002, and I watched a fight between James Coker and Alex Rios in San Antonio, my hometown. And I just, after many drinks, late one night, I just wrote up a story and sent it to Fight News, not thinking they were going to use it. Fightnews.com. And back then, fightnews.com, and it still is, a boxing website that's very, very popular. Back then, even more because it was less. And they posted my story, and I was like, wow. And so the editor went by Flat Top. He reached out to me and he said, would you like to be a correspondent? Because we don't have one in San Antonio, South Texas area. So I was like, wow. And the first assignment that I got, the first interview, was with Oscar De La Hoya.
Get out of here.
I was like, yeah, the most.
That's an amazing one.
Pay-per-view. Yeah, the most.
Wow.
Imagine getting into a new type of business, and your first assignment was to interview. Oscar De La Hoya is very fond of San Antonio. He met his wife at the time there, and there's a big connection with the Hispanic community in San Antonio. So I got to meet up with him, and I was totally intimidated. I would be even now a bit, but I got to meet Oscar, and then throughout my career with FightNews.com, because it was FightNews.com and it had such an influence on the boxing public, I got to interview Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Jesse James Lehan, Orlando Canizales,
come on,
John Duddy, Manny Pacquiao, Marco Antonio Barrera, many guys, and that's where I got to get that connection, and I felt more of a synergy with the sweet science after that.
It's amazing the opportunities that open up for people when they take that step. And as you mentioned, alcohol was involved. sometimes it gives you that extra push. Are you anything like me? When I go and interview boxers, this is a recent thing. I'm an old man now, but I've come into this in the last couple of years. You know what I thought about when I come to interviewing boxers. You were thrown in the deep end at such a young age, and the way you've come through that, and given you that confidence, that very first interview, did that set the template for you, moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I it would give me courage back then. Sometimes, I remember when I interviewed George Foreman, God rest his soul.
God rest his soul.
Was doing that
Rest in peace.
while back. Well, it was a long time ago. I don't even drink anymore, but yeah, that's how I enjoyed a lot of fights back then. But now I'm no more drinking. I totally focus on each event that I do. Haven't had a drink in about 5 years, but yeah, that's the first time I didn't even know that it was going to change my life. But yeah, I sent that story in after a night of watching. It was a local boxing card, and so ever since then, I got to make the connections and then climb the ladder, and always trying to do better.
That's brilliant. Can I ask you, Christian, who's your favourite announcer, other than yourself, of course? We know you're in the top 3. We got this confirmed by many others on our old channel, Boxing Media Hub. But who are your favourite 3 ring announcers, MCs in the sports world, combat sports world?
Well, I'd probably have to say I'm pretty partial to Lupe Contreras.
I had him on last week.
Lives in Houston. He's from Reynosa, Mexico. And
right on the border, isn't it?
How smooth he is, how professional he is, how he conducts
bilingual.
Yeah, his first language is Spanish, actually. And how he presents, and it's always so classy, and it's always top level as far as what the boxing public wants to see. My next guy would have to be probably, and this is cliche, it's got to be Michael Buffer, and here's why. He made it cool to be a ring announcer.
Yeah.
Looking like a James Bond character.
Yeah, exactly. The exact way. I like he sells that character so well. I mean, literally, I seriously don't ever think he ever takes his tuxedo off.
Yeah, that's it. Sleeps in it and everything.
2 or 3 in the morning, he's in a tuxedo, and I don't ever think he's not in a BMW, and I don't ever think he's not with the most beautiful woman you've ever he sells that character, He
does.
And,
so well.
And
he is amazing.
80 years old. 80 years old. Still the most famous active ring announcer to this day.
Yeah. Everyone knows. Let's get ready to rumble. It makes the hairs on my neck stand up still. I've heard it a million times. It still makes the hairs on the back of my neck and my arms stand up every single time. It's amazing.
Obviously, it's the most recognizable, shout out from a ring announcer before, a fight. But Christian, I want to ask you, with your broad experience in not only boxing but wrestling and combat sports in general, is there a mixture of MCs that that you've loved? You like a little bit from that man, you like a little bit from that guy that's in boxing. I believe I've heard you say once before that boxing's far more strict and formal compared to the wrestling. Would that be fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with boxing, it's more a little bit got that traditional, classy feel, where you want it to be more calm and you get excited when you need to get excited, compared to the MMA, where you can get out and say, ladies and gentlemen, and this corner and fighting, and it's a little bit more, that demographic is younger and more energetic and
more into violence.
Yeah, it's more like let's whereas if you have that same approach in boxing, it's just whoa, calm down.
More of a gentleman's sport, isn't it?
Yeah, more of a exactly, and that's why I love
it's a more toned down version. It's a more toned down version boxing than MMA. I mean, if I look at Bruce Buffer, I mean, you just done basically a great impression of Bruce. And the way he presents, I think it was a UFC or MMA, whatever he does.
Same thing.
He's got that style suited for that. You shout, I believe. What's your shout, Christian? Is it time for action for the main attraction?
I was using that one, and then I came up with a new one a little bit later on, where I say, tell everybody in the city, tell everybody in the town that it's about to go down. I was using both. I was using one for the co-main event, and then one for the main event, and then I just decided combine the two, and so now I say, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the action in the main attraction. So, and then I'll say the city. I'll say, tell everybody in the city, tell everybody in the town, and then right when I say that I look in the eyes of both fighters. It's about to go. And then when I say go, I try to get the people to say it with me. And so they can get into it too. And then down, and then bam, I go into the actual formal introductions of both fighters.
That's incredible. I mean, the role of an MC, a ring announcer, you're up against all these greats in the ring. I mean, it must be an absolute nightmare to think, well, in the beginning of a great line, in this game that you're in, to be, exclusive, or that you go, oh, that's Christian Schmidt. How difficult was that to conjure?
Well, I wanted something that sounded unique, and I could remember when I did the U.S. Olympic trials, being on the airplane going to Salt Lake City years ago, just writing, well, how's this sound? Well, how's that sound? Well, I don't want to sound like I'm copying somebody else. Does that sound good? No, it doesn't. Or, oh, that sounds stupid. Or, no, that sounds too much like this. Or, that's not. And finally, after trying it out a couple of times, and I wanted something that rhymed so it'd be easier to remember. So, like I said, I finally, about a year ago, I took both of my taglines and then I combined them. And so that's what I use now. And hopefully the people enjoy hearing it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's best to have just the one, isn't it? Because then you'll become known for the one catchphrase rather than, because like if you have two or three, people think it's not necessarily nailed down to that one man. Whereas everyone will know now that's Christian Schmidt with his tagline. Yeah. Same as with Buffer, same as with Jimmy Lennon Jr. with Lupe. You know what you're gonna get, and that's what you want, matey, going forward, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, us as MCs, people come up and say, can you say, let's get ready to rumble? And I mean, he's so iconic and he sounds so good. And I try to say in the nicest possible way, no, because you hear somebody else say it and it doesn't sound good.
That's it.
Yeah, it is. It's very distinct. It's very tonal, his voice, the way he says it. And it just goes on. He elongates it. And it goes on forever. And a big up, Bruce. Hopefully we'll get him on one day. Wouldn't that be a scoop, ladies and gentlemen? But, he's an idol for many, many of a ring announcer. I mean, I can go back to the days of Chuck Hall. In boxing, a great ring announcer. Now, you spent some time in the commentary box, Christian, didn't you?
Yeah, I do that half of my time. I do both. I work for Dev Azteca, which is a producer from Mexico City. I do it in English. I do it in Spanish sometimes. And then about 2 weeks, I'm going to be commentating with Roy Jones Jr. in Washington. And so I'm looking forward to that. We've worked together in the past. And
you done the UK USA show last time in America, didn't you? UK versus USA?
Yeah.
That's what I remember you from.
Yeah. We've got our guy on it this time, Jack the Punk Kid Hughes.
Yeah, it was. I worked with also Spencer.
He's fighting an American on this one coming up on April.
Sorry, we got a bit of interference there, guys. Christian.
Oh, we've lost Mr. Neutral. Sorry about that. Oh, he's back again.
No, it's
We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Apologies.
right. Sorry,
Did you get a
your
phone call,
question
sir?
again, Jams.
No, it's all right, mate. I was just talking about we've got Jack the Punk Kid Hughes, who's a friend of the channel, fighting on the April 4th UK USA card this time. And you did the one before. I don't know if you guys could hear me then.
That's right.
You did that with Roy Jones Jr., didn't you, on comms? Which must have been a moment for
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
you know.
That's how I got to know Roy, and we worked together. And the UK guys, they brought it. It was 3 victories for the US and 3 victories for the UK. My friend Arnie Dawson, that's my boy. He's my favorite UK fighter right now. He's up and coming. He's undefeated. I think he's 6-0. He got a victory that day. I hit it off with him pretty good, and I couldn't really hear the guy you mentioned because it cut out. Who was it?
Jack
Jack
Hughes.
the Punk Kid Hughes. He's fighting on the next one.
Yeah.
He's a
it was
great lad.
pleasure to work with them. I've been always a really big fan of UK boxing. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Craig Denholm, who is an up and coming ring announcer in England. And I recommend any promoters watching right now, if they're not going to hire me, I want them to hire Craig because he's very articulate and well spoken. And he finally had his pro debut with Dennis Hobson's group, and so he did a great job. And also, I mean, I love UK boxing, and I really fell in love back when Showtime would have there's only one, Ricky Hatton. You
Yeah.
cannot help but fall in love with Ricky Hatton, the way he fights, how he is outside the ring. He's not perfect, but nobody is. But like, just my favorite UK fighter of all time, and I'm a big fan of Joe Calzaghe, and I'm a big fan of Tyson Fury, David Hay, a lot of those guys. But Ricky Hatton's my favorite fan. I love the way that you guys have your entrances. And I will tell people, us Americans, we got to see what they're doing over there. Those entrances with the Neil Diamond song, Sweet Caroline, the projections, the colors, the technology, that's so vital and so important to a boxing show that you set the proper tone. And I'm saying, guys, the UK guys are whipping our ass. They're doing better jobs at their intros. So
Yeah.
I'm just telling you guys do it. You guys do it better than any other country. And
yeah, we do a good stadium fight too. Definitely.
When you're over in the UK, and you see the difference in the fans, would you say that the UK fans are far more into the fight than say American fans at a fight?
I like the the British fans. I like the way the chants they do. Like those soccer-based kind of chants. I love the enthusiasm that they show, and I think that our fans need to do something similar. That atmosphere, very ruckus and very passionate. You see those crowds in Manchester, man, wow.
I was there 2 times recently. It's loud when you're ringside. It's definitely very loud. Now, you do you have a preference as to which form of combat sports that you prefer to commentate or to ring announce on? Would it be the WWE or boxing? Because it's 2 very different styles, isn't it? As you was explaining earlier, which is more enjoyable for you, as an event, Christian?
I wrestling.
And don't be afraid to say, WWE, by the way. This is just your preferential, the way you perceive your job.
Wrestling is much more laid back, but when you do boxing, it's much more like you feel like you're at the center of the universe. Wrestling in the state of Texas where I live, it's not controlled by the state. There's no laws. You could be much more lax. Whereas boxing, you have to show up and you have to have a pass to be there by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation or any sanctioned event in the United States. It's strict. You have to be on your P's and Q's. You got to be making sure that you announce the proper person and especially announce the proper winner. It's much more intense as far as you need to be super, super focused. Whereas wrestling, it's much more laid back. Wrestling, the independent wrestling scene, you make much less money than you do in boxing or MMA. So to answer your question, my preference, all things considered, would have to be pro boxing.
Yeah, Christian, did you?
and
Sorry,
you,
Neutral.
yeah.
Just 1 second, mate. Did you see the ring announcer announce the wrong name in the first Nina Hughes Chanika Sugarneek Johnson fight back in Australia? Not the one that's just happened, the one before when he announced the wrong person's name as the winner. That must be
In
the most
Australia?
horrifying thought for you to happen. Like if you'd done that in the ring, would you say? Would that just mortify you?
That is the cardinal sin.
Yeah.
That's the one thing in the ring announcing world that there's hell to pay. And it's something as ring announcers, that's like the one thing that you fear the most. If you're referring to what happened, it was in Australia back in May, right?
Yeah, it was May last year, 2024. Yeah, the original Nina Hughes
Yeah.
Chanika Johnson fight. Yeah.
And that ring announcer, he's a good ring announcer, but I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I was in my garage and I was listening to who I was doing something, and then I heard him say one name, and then he said the other, and I ran to my TV thinking, "What the heck just happened?" God bless him for that. I hope that he's okay. But what I must say is what his mistake was outside of the initial said the wrong name, but what he should have said was, "Folks, I'm sorry, I made an error. The winner was," and then say her name.
Yeah.
Because by the way he did it, everybody was like,
Really confused as to what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more like a crass attempt to cover it up instead of,
Yeah, it was Daniel Hennessy.
realizing.
Hawkins just said Daniel Hennessy in Australia. That's the ring announcer.
Exactly.
He's actually got fired for it. He got fired.
Yeah. Obviously people say that's the cardinal sin in that job. I mean, I felt for the guy. It was really unfortunate.
Yeah.
See, I'm more my heart's aligned to the media side of things, Christian. Be it your job, whether it be the commentators ringside, the photographers, the videographers,
Everybody
the
can make a
writers.
mistake.
We all make mistakes, but when it's in the middle of the ring. And
all eyes on you.
All the world's eyes are on that result, and then all of a sudden it goes wrong. It couldn't be nothing worse for the guy. But hopefully that'll never happen to you, Christian. But I have to ask you
now. You shouldn't have said that. Curse Christian now, Neutral.
I have to ask you, Christian, what would be in boxing the dream fight for you to come out with your line to announce to the world, when especially in the heavyweight division? I want to give you the heavyweight division here. So what's that big fight that for you, that dream fight at this time?
It would have to be Alexander Usyk versus Dubois in the rematch.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no ties to Ukraine, but watching Usyk fight is like watching Da Vinci paint. He's a master at it. And he is the best heavyweight in the world right now. He's the best heavyweight the 21st century. That would be number one. Number two would be Fury versus Joshua in Wembley Stadium in London. That would be larger than life. That would be my would definitely be
90,000
my dream.
people.
Yeah,
Well, even
I hope.
100,000.
Or 100,000. My goodness.
Ramirez
Let's hope it
Boxing has got a
happens.
question for you, Christian. He's just said, has Mr. Schmidt ever had anything like that kind of mistake happen to him when announcing, like even in your early days?
Good question, Mr. Ramirez. I'll tell you the closest thing that I ever had, and this was in April. I was on TV Azteca, which is a streaming service, a big streaming service out of Mexico City that I worked for. I was, and this was a month before that Australian debacle. It was Bruno Pola versus Daniel Blancas. Daniel Blancas trains with Mexican Monster David Benavides. They both had a heck of a good fight. And I was handed the paper by the commission. Okay, that's fine. And when you read off the actual verdict, it says the score, the score, the score, and the name of the winner. And for the first time in my life, I read the first score, I read the second score, and then I saw the third score in favor of who was not written down.
Oh, okay.
So before I read the third score, I immediately thought, I don't want to be all over the internet, get made fun of, but even worse, I did not want to say the name of the guy who did not win, because it's just a weight on your conscience to know that even if you correct yourself, how terrible that would be to be a fighter and be told that you won, and that feeling of elation, only to be told, whoa, 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 whoa. So anyways, in the middle of it, when I saw that as I was reading it off, I stopped and I went to the commissioner's table. I've never had to do this. I'm thinking. So I handed and I said, look, these two are in favor of Blancas, but it says the winner is Pola. What happened? And everybody chanting whatever you could think of, some bad words in Spanish. And the commission, they saw that they had tallied up one of the three scores wrong, and then handed it back to me. And like I was saying earlier about what happened in Australia, I said, folks, I apologize. There was an error made. So therefore, everybody gets it. And it wasn't like, I was like, oh, forget what I just said, or oh, I'm going to say the right one now, or it wasn't my fault, or whatever. I just apologized. And then the people understood. And then I read the score correctly. But that's the closest thing I've ever had. It's not to make anybody feel bad that's ever done it, but at least with the commissions I've worked with all over the U.S., outside it and everything, I have always been given a paper where it's pretty clear as to who the winner is. But still, you got to be focused. And anybody that's made a mistake, though, we're all human.
Yeah. You had the presence of mind to, correct not only the situation, but to go to the to the commission and see what's going on here. This is wrong. Where unfortunately Mr. Henderson had actually gone ahead and read from the script.
Well, we interviewed Nina Hughes a couple of days after. She was absolutely devastated. Not that she'd lost, that she got told she'd won, that elation with her team celebrating in the ring, and then to have it taken away and given to Tanika Sugarnick Johnson. She was devastated. She said that's the worst feeling in her entire life. You know what I mean? So that
I can imagine.
be it by hook or by crook, ruined her night that day and ruined like what should have been a special moment, or could have been, or just been another normal moment in defeat. A humble moment. But
Yeah. But just want to go through a couple of messages, guys. We got Hawkan, obviously great up guy. Hawkan says, best of luck in your upcoming show this weekend in San Antonio with TMB and Rick Morones Jr. He says, Lupe Contreras is a great announcer for Pro Box TV. Certainly is. And it was a great show last week from San Bernardino. And you have, you did. You announced for Chicken Metcalf. Was that a last fight?
Well, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Chicken Metcalf. Was that a last fight that you announced for her?
Sharetta Metcalf. He said you're ringing out for Sharetta Metcalf fight. Shay
Oh, how's
Metcalf,
she doing? The champ from Dallas. It's been a while, but
the IBF
I hope
champ.
she's doing good.
Yeah,
Hopefully
she's
she's going to get
obviously.
that
in New
Dina
York.
Forsland unification fight soon, Christian. So hopefully
Yeah.
she'll be doing good.
Hopefully she gets signed by MVP.
Yeah.
And he says, "Has Mr. Schmidt?" Oh, sorry, that was Ramirez. We've done that one, but you
Yeah, we've
know,
done that one, mate.
let's get back to the wrestling. I know you're a big wrestling fan. Now, when I was growing up in the early cable days in the 80s of MTV and all the rest of it, we did happen to get WWF back in the day. And
I remember
I just
that.
want to say one of my favorite, I can name 3 or 4, but you know, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan. Did you watch that match? I don't know. I must be a lot older than you, Christian. I mean, obviously that was when I was just a young man.
Gotta
You
be the
know,
most iconic match. It was
who
the
were
most
your
iconic match
favorites?
to people our age.
I'm
I'll never
glad you
forget
said
that
that.
match because it's. I mean, at the time, it was good guy versus good guy, which you don't see a lot in wrestling, and the emotions that were brought because of that, and it stood the test of time. And when you get older and you start, understanding about the athleticism and the way a match is put together, it wasn't as good as like Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, or somebody that were great workers, but they were great storytellers, and they fit the part, and it just brought so much emotion and made so much of us love it. That happened on April 1st, 1990, in the Skydome in Toronto, and that's got to be probably the most iconic match of my lifetime. And I'm even included, like I watched Dark Side of the Ring last night with Mick Foley and Undertaker and all that. But yeah, that match, I'm a major Shawn Michaels fan because we're from the same city. But outside of Shawn Michaels matches, that has to be my favorite match ever.
The Heartbreak Kid. He used to do the sweet
Absolutely.
chin music, didn't he? Where he'd stamp his feet and then kick you in the chin.
Yeah,
I remember Shawn Michaels.
I was a big Ultimate Warrior fan, and
I like
as
the
a
Ultimate Warrior.
young man,
Yeah.
absolutely elated that he took the title from the champion Hulk Hogan. But as you said, Christian, it was iconic, that fight. But let's go to an equally iconic fight in your youth that that you would have just loved to have been there. What would that have been?
As far as wrestling,
Boxing, yeah. What would have been the boxing fight of your lifetime that you can remember
it would
that
probably,
is just stick in the head?
if I could ever go back in time, I'm a big fan of Virgil Hill. He's from North Dakota, like my mother. She's from North Dakota, and so going there, I learned a lot about Virgil Hill when he fought Thomas Hearns in Las Vegas. That was in 1991, and I am the announcer for Virgil's promotion now. I've announced from, gotten to know him. There would definitely be that one. I would have loved to have been at Costa Zoo versus Ricky Hatton in 2005 in Manchester. The emotions
that
there
was something special.
would have been great. Any of the Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3 fights, I would have loved to have seen. Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk, I would have loved to have seen. I would have loved to have been at Joe Calzaghe versus Bernard Hopkins back in April of 2008. I'm a huge Calzaghe fan. Watching Roy Jones beat John Ruiz back in March 1st, 2003, when he became heavyweight champion for one night. That's iconic in the world of pro boxing. Oh man, I mean, there's just so many that I could think of. I'd love to go and just attend a fight in England because of all the history, the rich history, and all the customs that they have. And I will be there. I will be in England, and hopefully I meet you guys. I don't have a set date, but I've been talking to some promotions, and I'll either be there as a commentator or an announcer soon. And I can't wait when I do. And for maybe one night be a part of the British boxing culture.
That'll be an absolute pleasure, Christian. That'll be a pleasure to have you over here, mate.
I would love to do commentating with you, actually, Christian. That'd be cool one day. hopefully Red Corner Boxing can make that happen. But in the meantime, you have you any plans? Are you sticking with the same company that you're with now? Are you or are you looking for bigger and brighter things in the future?
Always looking for bigger and brighter things in the future. I'm blessed to be with Tiva Azteca, Texas. They're the Azteca brand out of Mexico City that has a rabid boxing base. Always looking to travel to different states, different countries, different areas. Looking to shake hands. It's all about who you know. A friend of mine, Parted Ram, who hired me when I used to work at the Jewelry Channel. He was from the Jewelry Channel UK. His quote was, "It's not what you know, it's who you know," and that's so true. But always looking to expand and always looking to better my game as well. Always looking to study other announcers, other commentators, learning every single time. What a pleasure it is to be on your show. You could have had anybody and you chose me. And so thank you once again. Always looking to grow that way. So once again, thank you to you. And hopefully I can come back on your show in the future as well.
We would love that, mate. We would love that. So thank you so much for tuning in on Red Corner Boxing. You've been with Jam and Mr. Neutral with the very first special guest on our Ring Announcer MC series, Christian Schmidt, all the way from Texas. Thank you so much for your time, matey. We hope to see you again. God bless everyone. Hit that subscribe button and everyone take it easy. Yeah.